You know, I think recording your own kendo is a much harder, more complex task than people think it is at first. I mean, it's pretty simple in the beginning. All you have to do is get a tripod, get some kind of camera, and just set it up so you're taking a video of your keiko or something. You probably just say, hey, hey, you mind if I take a video of our keiko to someone? And they're like, yeah, sure, whatever. And then you go and take a short video of the keiko, and it's like that. You can keep that file to yourself, and it's good to go. What I've been doing for the past couple of months, more than I used to, I guess I've been doing this for a couple of years or so, but what I would do is I would take a video of the entire training. So, the entire training hall, the entire gym, I would go and take like a camera, put it up in a high place in the corner, kind of hard to find. Not all gyms and spaces have kind of a high place where you can look down and take a video of the entire thing. But I would put like an iPhone up there, or maybe like a DSLR camera or something like that up there, and have it pointing down and make sure the view is wide enough that it catches the entire thing. That way, because people move around in large gyms usually for training, and it's kind of hard to shift the camera around. Also, if you ever had a camera on the ground next to where you're doing keiko, anytime someone does fumikomi, it shakes the screen. It's really hard to see. A lot of times the stuff gets distorted, and it's kind of nice to have one station put where you put the camera every single time, so that way it's kind of easy to tell. Or easy to plan out how it's going to go personally, I think. But, you start to realize, like, if you start taking these long videos, these 2-hour long videos, you can't upload it quickly to YouTube. You have to find these ways to compress the video size down. Maybe your phone doesn't work, so you got to get an external charger for it. You want the audio quality to be a little bit better, so you have a microphone cable running out, something like that. It can get a lot more complicated than I think people are aware of. So every time someone starts to do this thing where they start to post a lot of their own kendo, and they, like, a lot of people make these pages or their own personal pages, like Dan no Hiroyuki. I think I might even put just a link down there to show who this guy is. And like a lot of people know who he is, but he basically takes videos of his own kendo and posts them up. Everyone knows of Sung Min Ro. He posts videos too. I think I'll put a link of him down there too. And there's another guy I just found out about him. See, honestly, I don't spend that much time online looking up kendo, to be honest. Like, I do it to some degree, but I think I don't spend nearly as much time as a lot of people do. For me, I think my kendo is typically, I already know what I want to work on. The only bottleneck for me usually is actually physically doing it. It seems like we as kendoka have a tendency to know exactly what we need to do. We know about concepts of seme, tame, kikentai no ichi, et cetera, et cetera. Like we hear it, like within the first 2 years or something, we have a pretty good idea of what we can work on, but we never end up working on it. So for me personally, I always try to shy away from spending too much time just hearing, learning, and talking about kendo, and more time actually practicing it, which means quite a bit of just on my own training. Not talking to anyone, but literally like on my own, like just with Chikomidai, or whatever just suri it is, or you find like a gym space or a floor space large enough just to do a sabaki on your own, that kind of thing. To me, I think that's really necessary for a lot of people, and I think for most people that's the bottleneck. It's the one thing that that if they applied, then a lot of their quote unquote struggles, like their weaker parts of their kendo, they would be able to make stronger. And I think the only way to make yourself efficiently be able to work on the correct things, which is in many ways it's kind of your own self. To me, I'm kind of more self-guiding, I think, than most other people. A lot of people ask their sensei for what to work on more. I do that to some degree, but I think personally I feel like I know what the kind of kendo I want is, and it's a kind of an individual goal that I've chosen to make this kind of kendo. And I can usually just look at video footage, and this is where I think video footage is huge. And I don't know, like especially recently, the past like 5 or 6 months or so, it's become more an important part, I think, of my own training. I think when it comes down to it, we're unaware of what our own kendo looks like, especially in keiko, especially places where you feel like you're not really being watched anymore. If every single training you're taking an entire video clip of the entire training, I feel like if you start watching them and you get in the habit of watching them, you kind of become entranced in figuring out, finding the things that you want to work on and seeing if they're working or not. You get instant feedback. I feel like, pre-video era kendo, I feel like the only way you can get that is by trusting someone else, like your sensei, to explain what components of your kendo that you're specifically working on are working or not, or you need to ask a person to watch or something like that. Obviously, that's kind of nice, right? It's nice to have this kind of personal connection with someone to be able to do that, but is it going to be near as precise as watching a video footage for a side view video footage of you doing a specific part of your technique, like a specific way of fumikomi you want to do, and seeing if you're able to continue that on through the entire training, seeing where it breaks down, where you're unable to do it, and then immediately after that you work on it at home again, and you go to training the next day, and then you find out, oh, it's a little bit better, that's great, and then you go home again, work on this other portion of it that looks a little bit weaker. It's such a quick the cycle of being able to see something, perceive some issue that you have, or not really issue, but something that you want to work on that you feel like is a bottleneck to your kendo, and then work on it immediately, and then immediately the next training to see and perceive what happened in the training. It seriously, it makes training even more of just a showcasing. Just going to the dojo becomes more of a showcasing on what you've been working on at home or in secret. And that to me is I don't know. I mean, personally, I think that's a really huge thing, and I feel like it's made a lot more of a difference in my kendo recently, or it's become a lot more of a kind of dominant theme in my own kendo. It feels like, I don't know, I think there are like a lot of artists out there who do kendo or some kind of budo. People who, let's say, like produce music. Like I think for a long time I would dabble in making my own music and things of that sort. I'd open up FL Studio, which is a computer program, and like make music on there, record vocals and things like that. And when you're doing that process of making a song, you end up like just spending too many hours. Like you start like not sleeping to try and to finish the project. That's there's no really reason to make the song, but for whatever reason you're compelled to make it. There's kind of that muse pulling you to make the song, but you don't tell anyone. Nobody knows about this. Like seriously, nobody cares or even know. I mean, seriously, yeah. In a lot of cases, no one really cares. Unless you're like a musician that actually has a following. Seriously, no one gives a shit if you're making music. But for some reason, you're pulled to it, and this kind of secrecy that you've had that you're working on this project. For some reason, I think it drives people further. Like whatever that thing is that pulls you toward making the music, or really pulls you toward your kendo training. If you're working on something in secret and you don't really tell anyone about it for a long time, I think it makes you like get pulled toward it more. It's one of the reasons why I've been doing this for like months on end, and I'm just now saying it to like 50 viewers or whatever fucking like tiny amount of people who watch this page. It's not very many people, and I kind of like it that way, because I don't know, like back when I used to have this page, I try to post stuff on like Kendo World groups and stuff like that, try to get more views or something. I seriously don't see the point of it right now, for especially what this page is going for right now. But in the end of the day, like like even just recording myself, which is another kind of an additional change that I made in my own kendo, recording myself every training, or the entire training, every single training. And of course I make it available to my dojo through a private link, that kind of a thing. So you can't find any of this content unless you're like within the small dojo, because it's a privacy kind of a violation if you're posting other people's training, I think personally, all the time. It just feels kind of weird. It's not like a huge deal, I think. I mean, you're in a public place doing kendo, like what do you think? Anyone can just go and watch, that kind of a thing. But it's kind of awkward to make it really public, so I'm obviously not going to post any of these videos. I might post like a clip or something like that, like the very top, whatever this banner video that plays on the top of this Facebook page, or if this is on YouTube, it's not the case, but on the Facebook page, it's the top banner that plays just a stupid clip of me like hitting hitting dummy in a really weird way, hitting and it's coming down in a really funny, I don't know, just kind of that weird way that a lot of people lean forward and hit that way, and that's of course pulled from one of those clips. So I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a weird thing to go home and sit and watch on your phone or watch on your computer after you transfer this huge like 32 gig file of a 1080p 60 frames per second 2-hour long video, and just watch yourself do like the entire training. But I don't know, it's oddly satisfying to see something you worked on and have it work, and you're just sitting there for like hours on end looking at that. And you can also notice like the weirdest, tiniest details in the dojo. Like, I don't know, like this one student had trouble putting on menon. This is kind of a recent thing. And we have a really set mechanism on who goes and helps that student. We have a really set mechanism on like the teachers, is supposed to kind of notice these things first, should be really noticing of these things, and has to go to the right person who tells the right person to tie the person's men. It's typically kind of a newer person in the dojo. It's kind of a hard system to explain right off the fly, but this happened, this issue with this person's men not being able to put it on correctly. This brand new kind of a person, brand new in Bogu, they couldn't do it for a long time, and it's just jarringly obvious on this footage. You're looking at it, you're looking at this guy struggle to do this, and the mechanism wasn't put in place for like 5 minutes or something. It's really long. It's jarringly obvious. So it's like these videos are kind of, a lot of it's just real painful. It's like, are you kidding me? Like, did I seriously do that again? Like, this one thing I swore I wouldn't do again, I did it again. That's crazy. That's kind of a jarring part of it. But it's also, it's like a pat on the back when you see yourself do something. Like, for Zanxian, I want to be able to end in this position in these situations, and you see it and you do it perfectly, spot on the way you're trying to work on it. It's like, it's amazing. Or you see a student who's trying to work on X thing, and for this training, for some reason, you just really got it spot on. You can like tell them, just say like, hey, I was watching the footage, and like you completely did the thing you're trying to work on the entire training through, and I never seen that before. And you can tell them that. I don't know, and it's really cool because they might not even watch it themselves. I think a lot of people, I think for the longest time, I would kind of cringe more than be happy to, or be wanting to watch footage of myself, because I would just see this stuff and be like, oh god, like that's great. Let's go down this rabbit hole of like what's all the stuff I want to work on that I'm not able to get to, that I haven't gotten to, that kind of a thing. So, I mean, that's kind of hard to get over, I think. But it seems like once this habit is built of just watching footage of every single training, regardless, it's in the same position, you do it the same way every single time. Same frame and everything, same frame rate, same size of a video file. It takes like a day to upload. Even in places with fairly nice internet, like where I live. But it's I don't know if it's it's obviously not a very traditional way to go to take a video of every single training and to post it that way. But I feel like it's really worked well for me, and I feel like it's a really worthwhile thing. Obviously, you'd have to talk to your dojo leader, whoever's the head of the dojo, and the different teachers there to make sure it's even okay to take a video of the entire training. Because I feel like for a lot of people, they don't want to see that, or they wonder like, are you really gonna only keep this to yourself, or are you gonna post some of it, or that kind of a thing. It's and in the end of the day, it's obviously nice to respect people's privacy to that degree. I mean, I'd feel kind of weird if every time I was walking around in a public situation, people take a video of that and upload it. I feel a little bit weird about it. Obviously, the reality is like, who's gonna watch it? Like, who's gonna watch like my dojo is gonna watch the training on YouTube? Well, like 10 people outside of our dojo might watch a single clip out of like 50 that have been uploaded in the past couple of months. It's not, you know what I mean? It's too insignificant. I think it's kind of similar to those people who put a sticker over the webcam of their computer because they think the FBI man is watching. The FBI man watching through your computer, through your phone I think it's become a meme just simply because it's so funny to think that an individual thinks they're so kind of important that that the video taken through there is going to be sifted through, like hours of footage is going to be sifted through to find that one frame or that one clip that's going to be great or something like that. I don't know. I think that's kind of the case with video footage when it comes down to it. Back when I used to edit a lot of videos, and the majority of these videos would be videos that were basically marketing my dojo, to try and get more membership. And it's kind of weird because we're trying to leverage just in general. If I post a video that's kind of kendo related, but it's mostly just trying to explain what kendo is if someone doesn't do kendo. If you post it on like a world kendo group or something like that, a kendo group page, it just gets tons of views. And if you have a lot of views on your video, regardless of who liked the views, at that time it seemed like the Facebook algorithm would still try and push these videos to people who are in our local area, because that's who we're targeting to get into our dojo, right? You want to have more people in your local area, find out what kendo is if they don't know what it is, or if they want to start some kind of martial art, they'll see what kendo is, they get excited about it, and they start the group. There's obviously lots of great reason to have a larger group, especially if you're living out in the freaking middle of nowhere like Spokane, like I do. Spokane, Washington's like obviously a little city in the northwestern part of the United States. It's really far. It's like 6 hours away from Seattle, and Seattle's like the closest city that people even know what the name is. Spokane, nobody knows what that is. So our dojo's going to be small just because there's not that many people here. I mean, there's not, Seattle's a place where you're going to have a lot of like Korean people, Japanese people, Taiwanese people. I don't know, just a lot of people who in general are maybe a little more aware of kendo, or they came here with kendo experience, something like that. Spokane, you got nobody. Like it's so unusual for us to have some sensei fly in or something like that. We had like a fairly experienced person fly in, or start living here for a couple of years, and that was so unusual. Like we just never see that. Like it's such a treat when that happens, but it's not even expected to any degree. So I think when it comes down to it, just taking videos of training is really huge. I think it's a really positive thing if you can make it work for you. I think so far I'm Maybe I'm not certain about this. Maybe in 5 years I'll figure out that it was terrible or something like that. But I don't know. It just seems like you're leveraging a technology that's kind of new, and it's kind of a new frontier of like how can I use video footage to improve my own kendo. And if it's something that you're doing personally to improve your own kendo, you don't tell anyone, you don't post it online or anything like that. It doesn't hurt anyone at all, I think, really, except for the small number of people who are weird skeptics who are like, I don't want my video taken ever. Even though I'm in a public place, basically with a bunch of other people, and there's like security cameras who are taking video footage. You don't care about that, do you? You don't care about like different, people put dash cams on their car and stuff, do you? I don't know, but that's the case. I guess it's kind of a rant on just taking video of training in general, but I think it's cool. I personally support anyone who does it, that kind of thing. If I'm in some kind of training, if I'm in Taikai and people taking videos of me, I don't care. I can't do much about it. There's nothing I can do to like control people to most of a degree. It's not like they're taking videos of me, I don't know, like taking awkward videos of me in weird, creepy places in a creepy way or something. They're totally open there. They're doing it out in the open. People do it all the time. People send snaps all the time, Snapchats, videos of people. People post tiny little clips on Facebook and stuff like all the time. It's kind of can't regulate it. I don't know. Great, my monitor's turned off. See ya.